I think I'm ready to share my story and how I got here. I think it's going to be kind of chaotic and a little bit everywhere, but I think I'll do different videos about different things. And yeah, I started a mental health YouTube channel back in like 2020, 2021 maybe. And like I talked a lot about mental health, but you know what? Like I didn't get better, I want to say. And like by no means am I better now. Like recovery isn't linear, but I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good place, a good enough place to talk about it and not be ashamed, or I don't know, like it's just, I feel like the timing is right. And if I can have someone relate to me and be like, oh my gosh, like I've been through the same thing, like I want people to know they're not alone. Because for a long time I thought I was alone. And every day I'm getting better, but I'm not where I want to be, and that's okay. I'm only 27 years old. I have my whole life ahead of me, and I have to be comfortable with where I'm at. I've gone through so much in the first half of my life, really, and the last 5 years have been really eye-opening, and I think I've created a toolbox that works really well for me, and I've done the work. I've put in the time. I've put in the effort. I think where I was at even just this time last year and now, two completely different Julias, you know? And again, like I'm proud of where I'm at, and I'm excited to see where I'm going. But sometimes I feel like I get down on myself sometimes, you know, and I feel as though I'm not where I want to be. But when I have that sort of thought pattern, I forget how far I've come. I have been through storms, and I have been through pain, and I've battled, and I've fought tooth and nail to get to where I am. And I think I discredit myself for that, because I have many times wanted to like unalive myself, and I'm glad I didn't, you know. And I've always read these things like it gets better, it so gets better. And like I was just like, when though? Like it would get better for a little bit, and then it wouldn't, and then get better for a little bit, and then it wouldn't. And I would just face depressive episode after depressive episode. And yeah, I kind of want to share my story because I want people to know they're not alone, and I want people to know it does get better, but it takes a lot of work. It takes so much work. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Julia. I'm 27 years old, and I have diagnosed depression. I have been in and out of psychiatric units for the last 5 years, but I've been depressed since I was 14, so about 13 years ago. I remember getting depressed when I was 14. It was the summer, I think going into grade 9 or something, and I told my parents I wanted to die for the first time. And obviously, like, there is so much like deeply rooted trauma that like I have to go through, but at the same time, like, I'm getting better every day. But like, anyway, we'll go through my traumas, we'll go through all of it eventually. But anyway, my point is, I have been through a lot, and when I was 14, I told my family I wanted to die for the first time, and my parents were like, everyone feels that way, you just need to get over it, you know? And I was like, for a long time, I was like, yeah, I just need to get over it. And I worked my butt off. I excelled in sport. I excelled in school. I did all the things. I was very high functioning because I was like, everyone has it the same. Everyone is the same. Everyone wants to die, and I'm just weak, and I can't be weak. So, yeah. And then in 2020, COVID hit, and I had what I would say would be my first like mental breakdown. And it was like bad. I experienced psychosis. It was alarming. My parents like kind of started to take it seriously at that point though, because they're like, what is happening? So I went to the hospital. They gave me a medication, and yeah, it didn't work. Like, nothing worked. And so later in August of 2020, I decided I was going to end my life. And I had a plan, and I was gonna follow through with it. And I was swim coaching at the time, and it was a Tuesday morning, and I had just finished coaching a morning practice, and I knew when I got off practice, I was going to, I was working in Langley, lived in Maple Ridge, and the bridge I had to take, I knew that I could pull off to the side on one of the exits and I could jump. And so that was my plan. And I drove over the bridge and I took the exit and I kept going. And I didn't stop. I drove myself to the hospital because as much as I wanted to die, there was something inside of me that had hope, like that much hope. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to be like, maybe life can turn around. And so I brought myself to the hospital and I was admitted into the psychiatric ward for the first time. And it was scary, and I thought everyone was against me, but I met a psychiatrist who to this day works with me, and the nurses were fantastic, and it was really good. And I got better for a bit, and then I got worse. And so I went back to the hospital, and then I got better for a bit, and then I got worse. And that repeated itself until recently. I just got out of my most recent psychiatric stay, and for the last 8 months, I've been very, very stable. My medication was working really well. I took it as prescribed. I was doing all the things. I was working on myself. I was doing all the things that I needed to do to protect my peace and protect myself. And like, I'll dive into that later on. I'm just kind of doing a brief overview, but I knew life was worth living. I knew, and like, I'm sure like everyone's put on this earth for a reason. And I like to think my reason, my why, is to change someone's life. And if I can change maybe just one person's life for the better, whether that be through deep conversation or just supporting them or cheering them on or just giving them a smile, like, I want to be someone I wish I had in my life. This world is so cold and so hard, and I feel like with what's going on and the events happening in the world right now, I think we forget that, like, we're all human, and with the human experience comes the need to feel wanted. And traumatic events happened, and I, at this point, well, not this point, because I have gotten to this point, but like previously, I've always been very negative thought patterns, very self-doubt, like a lot of self-doubt, and sometimes those crawl back in. I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah, but I have almost created remedies to what triggers me. And so something can trigger me, and old Julia would be like, you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, all these things. And now like, things trigger me, but I take a step back and I'm like, I read a lot of things and I do a lot of research, and a couple things that stand out to me is like, trauma explains behavior, but it does not excuse it. As well as I'm currently working on reading The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and I'm like just at the beginning, but like, my thing is like, I have let other people's views of me like affect me so much, and at the end of the day, I can't control other people. So I just let them think what they want to think about me. I know what I'm about, and I know who I am at my core. But yeah, I try to take accountability. Like, I do take accountability where I can, and it's just, yeah, I have these sayings that I say to myself all the time. Like, for example, the one I just said, trauma explains behavior, but it does not excuse it. I have gone through many of traumas. Here's the thing. I discredit my traumas. I say, that's not bad enough. That's not bad enough. That's not the worst thing I can think of. But when you're a child, and when you're a teenager, and when you're a young adult, things affect people differently. What happened to me and what I've been through could do nothing to someone else. Could not affect them at all. But that doesn't mean it didn't affect me in a really rough way. And I remember a few years ago, someone told me, there's someone drowning in 2 feet of water, and there's someone drowning in 6 feet of water. But just because someone's drowning in deeper water doesn't mean the person in shallower water is not drowning. Our traumas affect us all differently. And just because someone's trauma seems worse, or what someone's going through is worse, doesn't discredit and doesn't invalidate that I'm going through something. And that is like a big realization I've had to come to. Yeah, I honestly, I didn't think I'd get to this point. I honestly didn't think I'd see 27, but I'm here, and I want to share my story because I know there's people like me on this earth that like have the same personality as me and experience similar things as me and go through the same hardships as me. I know I'm not alone, and I think by starting this YouTube channel again, not only am I seeking I'm looking for community where people can relate and be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I've been through something similar, and you know what worked really well for me? This. And I want to share what works for me because, again, we all have these toolboxes, and we have things that help us in these toolboxes. And what works for one may not work for another, but what works for me may work for someone else too. I don't want to gatekeep anything. And yeah, so I think, yeah, that's the point of me starting this, is to find a community where I can share and be not judged, and I can maybe save someone else. But yeah, so as I go through this journey, I'll share things. And is it going to be in chronological order? Heck no. But I'm going to try my best to put everything together. And I might talk myself in circles sometimes, and I might be doubtful sometimes, but I'm very proud of myself for how far I've come. I'm excited to see where things go. And I hope that by talking about what was a smidgen of hope for me might provoke hope in you. So yeah. Thank you for listening to that. Yeah. Welcome to my channel.